Going once, going twice, sold! You're listening to The Property Pod, an accessible and easy way to get into or help understand the goings-on of the property market. Join Aaron, John and Pat as they discuss all things real estate, most likely get sidetracked, and then try and rein it all back in as they present The Property Pod.
Yibbity yibbity yibbida. Welcome back to the Property Pod.
I certainly hope that's not old, folks, because we've only just started. Didn't make the best, shortest episode.
Hey, it might get lots of downloads.
Yeah.
Although that's about as much as my wife will tolerate it.
Yeah, probably. Well, no, there was a band that hijacked Spotify years ago, where what they did is in the album they had it as 100 songs that are all like 2 seconds each, because then they got their fans to play the album over and over and over and over again. So they had like millions upon millions of views, like racking up all these dollars, because it was like a subtle dig at how little the artists are getting paid on streaming services.
Yeah. So each time it gets played, which is only 1 second or something, it ends up earning the money.
Yeah, it was still a play. So that, even though they're only wasn't a big band or anything like that, they racked up like ridiculous amounts of views because they just hijacked the system.
That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. You're hijacking the podcast to give us great views.
Yes, we're going to go up to number 134 in Macau.
Yeah, wow, that's like jumping up 200 spaces. So go us.
Well, at least then I suppose you're thinking, how do you pick a great podcast? Look at it at like if it plays any more than 3 to 5 seconds, you just move on.
Yeah, no, it's too long, and you can play podcasts at 2.5 speed or 1.5 speed. So even quicker. Just done.
Well, that's what I thought would be a good segue into what we're thinking about today is how do you pick a real estate agent?
Yes, so that's really good, John. I was thinking with Paul last week from realestate.com, some of the stuff he was talking about, I was like, this is quite eye-opening for me, especially being the guy on the outside. Obviously, you guys converse with him more when he's coming and having meetings and stuff. But the time he said that...
Because some of us are more open to his conversations than others.
I did actually... That's quite interesting. As I was going through it, I was like, oh, wow, there's some real tension in the room. And I can hear it through the headphones. It's really happening.
Yeah.
But it was like, it's 98% outside, but 50% inside. It's just like, yeah, no, I'm feeling the same.
Hello. Hey, I can hear myself.
Turn up the mics a bit more. There we go.
Yeah, someone must have been
I think some little fingers might have been playing with the knobs. He was out here the other day and he had the headphones on. And actually, now I think about it, it was your microphone. But anyway, and he's sitting there, he's like... Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about real estate.
So he was jumping off the Parker pod
and he was like,
pod.
We're going to talk about how to sell a home. First, you need to find somebody to sell the home, and then you need to convince somebody to buy that home. And he's going through this whole spiel.
So this is your son, Parker Berry, age... 6, already learning the game.
Boom.
Hot damn, the future.
It was pretty amusing.
That's brilliant. I actually really like that. If there's some way I can cut this all together, what we're discussing is my microphone was mysteriously broken yesterday. Me and Pat reverse engineered it back into working order. But as Media House often does, it gets blamed for breaking lots of things. And
look, you only have that persona because of past experiences.
It's hard to build a new reputation, mate. I've been there.
Exactly. Baby steps, baby, baby steps. Yeah. But that being said, we've just solved the mystery of the broken microphone.
Yep.
But look, he's trying to sell houses, and once he does, he'll be able to pay to fix the microphone.
The good thing is...
His first commission will go to fixing the mic.
And he's fearless. He's having a crack, so we know he's got the courage to give it a go. I think we put him out in the field sooner rather than later.
No, I think my daughter would be better suited to it.
Reckon?
She's a lot more fierce. Anyway, back on topic.
Cool.
No, so... If this all works, what we were talking about was Paul last week came in and was saying people go on and research if they're looking to sell or buy or do all this stuff with the game, but then they'll kind of research agents from there. And I guess maybe it's because we're in a smaller community and it's not as competitive, like it's competitive, but not as competitive as a big city. Kind of, I just thought it was, everybody knows a real estate agent. Like my uncle's cousin's a real estate agent. My sister's brother's cat is a real estate agent.
Yeah.
My boss's son runs a real estate podcast.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I remember hearing is everyone's got. If you said, "Oh, who's your doctor? Who's your accountant? Who's your such and such? Who's your local fish and chip shop?" Everyone's always got a something.
Yeah.
But it's rare that someone goes, "Do you have a real estate agent?" And it's probably, unless you have an investment property, really the numbers are panning out as always the case, 7 to 10 years per transaction.
Yep.
So a lot of the time, when someone ticks around, it's like, I can't even remember who I either bought the house from or sold from. Because just too much time has passed.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting. I guess the personal relationships that I have with you guys is why I knew Mum want to sell. I'm going to get these guys to come in and appraise it.
Well, one of the, before we sort of think on then, what Paul was mentioning is that now there's so much access to online, people have they call it the digital interview. So you're Googling that name, you're trying to find out as much stuff about that person as you possibly can.
Yeah, this is that no first dates thing.
That's it, yeah.
I liked that.
And the challenge too is that a lot of different places have tried to map out and take the space of, okay, where's the one site to go to track the credibility of the agent. And realestate.com's doing it now with their star rating because they're competing with Rate My Agent, which was a website dedicated to, well, actually the plan of those guys was just to float the business and make millions. That's why they built Rate My Agent. You can go through Google reviews or Facebook reviews, or you go to the website individually. And it's really hard then to go, oh, Jesus, which one is the best one to do? Because if someone's pushing all their information through one site and not another, it ends up being just as confusing for consumers a lot of the time because there's too many different websites telling 5 different stories. So then it goes back to, okay, who's speak to 3 friends in your circle that you know to get recommendations.
Yep.
And our first national CEO, Ray Ellis, told me this story about the difference he's noticing in the way that young people take recommendations, and that he's noticing now that unless you've got an online presence, they don't trust you. And his story was he referred his son to a Ray's financial advisor, and bear in mind, Ray's done very well for himself over the years, and you can't actually get access to this particular person unless he knows you and he's on a client base. So
so it's like an exclusiveness.
So it's like if you're getting a recommendation, you're getting the best. But then, it given this recommendation, and a few months later, he checked in with his son. He's like, "Oh, mate, how'd you go?" It's like, "Oh, no, I just went with someone else." "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, I couldn't find him online."
Yeah, so I couldn't run him through my vetting
I couldn't run him through my digital vetting system. So Ray's point is it doesn't matter. It's just that our expectations on, especially as the generations change, on what the way you search for and build credibility in order to be comfortable to either reach out or ask that person for a potential proposal or pitch or service, whichever word you use, is changing.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
In the baby boomer generation, the one recommendation was enough, and bam. As the generation's changing, that one recommendation isn't enough anymore.
Yeah, you've got to look for those other sources to kind of back up the information that you're getting and then collate it together and be like, all right, let's make this life-changing decision kind of thing. And
in our area too, I mean, Hobart and Tasmania is getting a more of a city vibe now. But hark back 30, 40 years ago, I've often heard this said, it's very much a feel of a big country town in that sense where, everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think not everyone's knowing everyone as well as they used to. So it's that now change where our generations are starting to shift to wanting to see that digital proof rather than just a word of mouth recommendation.
I still think of Hobart as a country town. I know whenever I go to the city, it's always like I'm going into town, and my wife gives me shit about it all the time. She's like, "We're going to the city." Like, no, we're going to town.
Relax, darling.
And I get this whole argument with her about, is it the city, is it the town?
Yeah. Well, we
don't live in the country.
Well, that's what I really love our state for that matter, is that you can't disappear. If you're absolutely terrible at what you do, your reputation follows you. Whereas in a bigger city, you can move over 2 suburbs and all of a sudden no one knows who you are. So I quite like that about Hobart still. That
keeps you accountable to be like,
on top
you're good, you're good. If you're bad, you're bad. It's kind of the black and white. It's like living in Gotham City. It's either you're the good guys or the bad guys.
Yeah, it can be that way. Well, I think then what's leading back to a path that's useful. So a difficult question for people is how do you choose an agent, especially too, because one of the things that you forget is that it isn't too often that you cut a check for someone between $5,000 to $35,000 for one transaction. And so how the hell are you going to, navigate through that maze to go, Jesus Christ, I'm paying this person that much money at the end of this transaction. Am I making the right decision?
Oh yeah. We were getting our kitchen done recently, kind of in our renovations. It was like, do I do the caboodle kitchen where I do it myself, or do I kind of get the fit joiners and fitters to come in and do it. And we got, 3 or 4 different quotes, which, that's what the old man used to say, get this many quotes and work out the best one.
Yeah, yeah.
But my level of expectation was like, I'm spending like $15,000 to $20,000 on my new kitchen.
Yeah.
I want this to be schmick. Like I'm going to research it to the hilt.
Yeah, you don't want to make the wrong decision.
No, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
So, talking about that, if you're looking to get into the market, how do you choose a good agent, or what things should first-time buyers or people, like you say, 7 to 10 years, it's kind of something that rolls back around again. You might need to use a whole new agent. What should the people out there be looking for when taking up the services of a real estate agent?
Well, one of the things that really I thought about it was, as an agent, I'd be like, oh, why are you asking for 3 different opinions? And sometimes we'll go, oh, look, we're getting 7 agents in. You're like, are you kidding me? Like, you're going to spend that much time researching someone. But it always comes back to, look, one, they don't want to make the wrong decision. And the first thing I'd say is, I know it's going to take a long time, but don't settle until you like someone.
Yeah.
Just wait till you can find someone that you actually like. Because one of the hardest things for us to do, and I can't work with someone who doesn't trust me, and that's perfectly fine. It's like, he's just not my agent. It's like, I'm comfortable with that.
You'd prefer to hear, look, mate, we just don't gel.
Yeah.
Than be like trying to work your way through the social awkwardness of kind of being like, are we on the same page? Are we talking the same language?
Yeah.
That interpersonal.
Well, you need that trust as well to be able to make the transaction happen. If you don't have faith in what the agent's telling you, how can you be guided by what they know?
Yeah.
I think
so. Gut feelings are probably a big chunk of what will make somebody decide who to use.
Well, just as the example for what we were just saying with the kitchen of my place, of the 4, these people coming in, I was like, I got a really good vibe off this one.
Yep.
I got a medium vibe off that one. Like I'd get home from work and my partner would be like, oh, did they come and do the sizing and what did you think? And it would my first response would be like, oh yeah, it was a really nice guy, or I don't know, weird guy, kind of a little bit racist. And then,
See, I thought you got your 4 quotes or the 3 quotes in, and you just chose which one you didn't like the least.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought you were like, oh, they're all a pain in the ass, but this one seemed like the least pain in the ass. I'll go with this guy.
Yeah.
well, ultimately there was bargaining, so I'm not sure if you guys are going to bring that up next.
Negotiation.
The bargaining of it was like, well, this guy was a bit of a knob. This guy was a bit racist, so I'll take knob over racist.
It's a tough choice. Yeah. Really tough choice.
When it comes to bargaining or negotiation on fees, I'm always happy to negotiate.
Yeah.
As long as it's upwards in my favour, I'm happy.
There was one that you told me ages ago, Pat, was from a purchaser. They said, what was it, like the house was 300, and they said, what would they take? And he said, I'm pretty sure they'll take 300 and probably take 350 and maybe 4 at the same time. Yeah.
So 280's not about, no.
That's 300, mate.
Yeah.
Well, so the thought of liking him, it's a hard one too, because you can like someone, but they might be useless. That's not the only reason why you have to justify it. But the thing is, I think it comes back down to what you said, Patrick, about the trust element.
Oh, have I said much in this episode?
But it's all been gold.
Yes.
Yeah, every single time it's been gold. But then, of course, because I'll often say to my clients, look, if we're in the instance of selling the home, and I think with buying, liking him has an element that you've got the person acting in your best interests and that you're going to trust and, listen to what they say. And I'll often say, look, the last thing that's going to come out of my mouth when we present you an offer is to say, look, we've had X and X amount of people. This is the process. This is where we're at with this purchaser. In our recommendation, I believe this is something that you should accept in confidence. Yep. What would you like to do? And that means if we've got that relationship, and I don't expect that to happen overnight. It's like now it's okay. They'll turn and say, John, what do you think we should do? And now I can go, okay, this is what I think you should do. And that's a good relationship for a real estate transaction, is that people forget that the agent can't make decisions for you.
Yeah.
It's always 100% in your control. And I'll just say, look, a couple of reasons why you get an agent is, one, to make your life easier, and it's to not do work but make decisions. And then you employ your real estate team to take care of all that work for you. So at the end of the day, you can have confidence that you can make a informed decision that you have confidence in. And that's why, going back to the next step then after liking them, is how then, once you like this person, how can you ensure they're going to be doing a good job? And the word I would use, and I've heard before, is a process. So it's the process, not a promise of a price, that's going to deliver you a great result. Right?
Can you explain that a little bit deeper?
So if the first thing is that people ask is, what do you think my house is worth?
Yeah.
And well, it's an extremely subjective element, and because everyone's going to see value in different ways. And there's agent's price, an owner's price, a valuer's price, a buyer's price, the eventual price the house sells for. So a agent's going to give you a comparative market appraisal to say, well, look, here's a range in where properties like this are selling for, and then each one has its own subjective value. So if we agree that there's this particular 4-bedroom 2-bathroom house in where we are in Glenorchy is about 3 of them have sold for between 470 to 530, people are going to assume that your house is somewhere within that range. Now, in order for us to achieve the biggest result, well, then there's a process that we can follow that's going to not guarantee the high price, but if we do all these steps, we're going to maximize the
possibility of that coming.
It's kind of like, how do you stay healthy? Well, you've got to do, who likes to hear that, I've got to get up at 7 and walk and then eat healthy and all that kind of stuff. It's not going to guarantee that you're going to live forever, but what it is doing is ensuring that you're going to live your best life as possible, healthiest life as possible.
Yeah, and right? I guess thinking about that, the way you've described the process is you can exercise till the cows come home, but if you're eating like rubbish, you're not actually completing the process in the amount of steps that it could be completed.
Yeah, yep.
Whereas if you're doing all the steps of the process, you're more likely to get to
servicing your car regularly.
Yeah.
Not, it's just an example to say, well, look, how do you measure a process? So if I like that person, then I'll be asking, mate, how are you going to do it? And, okay, well, look, from day one, these are the calls we're going to make. These are the people we're going to be working with. These are the way we're going to prepare your property. These, it's like mapped out from day one to settlement. This is what we're going to be doing, and this is what it's going to look like. So it's that will be changeable depending upon your particular circumstances. If you need a result in 30 days, for example, versus I need a result in 6 months, well, then the outlook of that process is going to be completely different. But what I want in a professional agent is I want them to have certainty over how they're going to operate this process, because there's a significant amount of finance involved. There's a time frame in which it needs to happen, and so I want to have as strong a certainty as I possibly can that they're going to maximise my potential result for my benefit.
Yep.
And, a professional works in a process, not just a scattergun approach thinking, let's hope that everything's going to be okay. And in Hobart at the moment, I think if you've read the recent reports out of the REIT, the market's starting to change. So that means the way in which we engage in these selling processes are going to be different, even the same for buyers. So a professional agent, in my opinion, has to change their approach. I'll often say at the moment, over the last 3 years, it's been very easy to look like a superstar agent because the market's been so strong. If you put the house on the market on one website, there was 50 inquiries and 10 offers overnight, But when things start to change, well, it isn't going to be as easy as that anymore. So
yeah, since I've been doing the media for 414 out here with Pat and the crew, he's often just said, you just wait until you hit a quiet market. Wait till winter is coming, and when it comes.
Well, and this is a market where you say, if you think hiring a professional is expensive, wait till you employ an amateur.
Yeah.
And then you'll find out they'll cost you more money at the end of the day.
Oh, that was like a Macism.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a real good one.
Because the thing is that you can't guarantee a result, but you can guarantee a process.
Yeah, and I like that. The idea of when you said scattergun, I was like, that's really interesting because it's that whole you can throw shit at the wall and see what
Hope
sticks.
something's going to stick.
Yeah, and of thinking about it, like I've never had to have someone come and sell me on how am I going to sell my house because I've never sold a house. But if I had to get you guys in,
you'll never have to worry about getting someone in because I'll just come in and do it. It's like you don't have a choice now. What's this? I'll never.
No, well, that's the whole catalyst of this episode because I've been in that position of I know a real estate agent and I trust them. Like I've got years of built-in trust with you guys.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. But when Paul was saying people don't know who they're going to go with. And then often I'll hear you guys on the phone talking with people like, I'll come and check out your house or do this. I'm like, how did they get onto you? Like, was it passed along the line? Like, and then
I often wonder that.
Yeah.
And I'm not hugely at asking them, why did you call me over?
Yeah.
So,
well, remember the guy that we went and saw, Glenn Twiddle, the marketing trainer, Pat, we mentioned.
I was going to say, how did that go?
His thing was like, the thing is about marketing is that sometimes you don't have to be good. You've just got to be there because, some people can't be bothered vetting this process and they just want to make a swift decision. So it's like
So even if you're not good at it, people will just use you. That was his selling point.
No, he said that's what happens.
Oh, okay.
But his point being is that you have to have the capacity to be there. Like,
so
again,
if you use his processes, you can be that guy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of
choose.
like you can have the best product in the world, but if you can't sell it, well, then it's useless.
Yeah.
And it's the same in your own profession. Is that if you could be the best agent in the world, but if no one knows you are a real estate agent, well, then you can't be used.
Did you guys watch Gruen on ABC at all?
Not enough. I like it though.
Yeah, I love it. So last night they were looking into, that Dom pizza checker thing that Domino's have.
Yep.
It was amazing just to see because the way they were describing it was that Domino's have given up being a pizza company. They're not a pizza company anymore. They see themselves as a tech company.
So bullshit. They're a pizza company.
No,
Their core business is to sell freaking pizza.
but they know that their product is substandard. Like they were just describing it as like we know it's not good. Like that's the whole point of the camera thing is we know like the pizza's probably
shit
by
out.
the time come out not very good. We'll send you a photo of it. You'll get it halfway through and you'll even be looking and be like, oh, this pizza that's coming is not going to be very good. But I'm still going to get the pizza. I'm still going to eat the pizza.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'm going to text them and then the next time they'll be like, oh, well, here's a free pizza on us. And then you'll still, I've got a free pizza. Well, one pizza's not enough, so we'll have to get another pizza. And then
I see what they're trying to make themselves feel, but I'm with Pat. That couldn't be more wrong. Like it makes sense in our industry where it's we're doing a real estate process, but half the time we're spending 80% in marketing the clients' properties, etc. So you could make that case.
But then,
Is Domino's a marketing agency?
Well, they have to be, but they're not marketing other people's product. They're
that's a
marketing
fair
their
point.
own product. So they're pizza makers, and they need marketing for people to know about them. So this idea we're a media agency, no, you're not. I'm not giving money to Domino's to sell my pizza.
but people are still using them, and so then they went into go to Google and search pizza. What comes up first? Domino's.
Yeah.
Go into Google, Bing, and search it.
They have to be a media machine in order for people to choose Domino's.
I know how you can tell if they're a tech company or not. Go online, find out who the CEO is, look up and see what he's wearing. And if he's got Silicon Valley outfit, which
we have today.
Sneakers, pants, and a t-shirt, they're a tech company. If he's wearing a suit, they are a very well pizza making company.
Yeah. This is a good spin-off. I know we've gone away from real estate, but it doesn't matter. We've had a pretty good crack at it. They then went into being... So the next bit of that last bit was if you type in Pizza Hut into Google and hit search, first ad up, Domino's.
Yeah.
Still beats you. But then they switched and started talking about Pizza Hut for a little section, and they were talking about how to disrupt the market and get their product out there. So they were saying lots of people in the States were, skipping meals because they were stuck in their MMO video games and stuff like that. And some video game put in a Pizza Hut into the game. So you're in like the village. Say you're traveling through Morrowind or Elder Scrolls or something and you're traveling through it. There's a freaking Pizza Hut in the village.
Yep.
You go in, you look at the board, you order off the board in the video game. 20 minutes later, pizza's at your house.
Brilliant.
So you never have to leave the game. So they're marketing in the game to be like, oh, you're hungry? Like, don't forget to eat.
Well, I reckon I could bring this back. So that's the thing is that if you're looking for a process, what other processes you're looking for? Well, I want to know the marketing process. I want to know your negotiation process. I want to know your process around inspections. I want to know, like, we're talking about the full gamut here. So, I mean, think about what you have said before, Pat. Like, you're not going to go a scattergun approach for marketing. You're building one from what elements do we need that's going to attract the buyers we want, yeah?
Pretty much. And what's measurable. I don't want to go waste owners' money without having a way of ensuring that it worked.
Yep.
So everything that we're building now at 4on4 is very test and measured, and it has data that we can provide back to our clients to show what it did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
That's part of our process.
Well, 100%. And the thing is, you can spend $20,000 on marketing, and some of it will not be useful. But if all of a sudden you can show that, look, with a $500 investment here through social media or different elements, it's like, and that's just brought us 1,200 views to your property. In my mind, that's money well spent. And but then it really comes down to after why the marketing is important for the home is because again you can have a great product, but if and you've employed a great real estate agent, but if you haven't told anyone about it, well, you still can't sell your house. So that's why marketing is very important. But then once they've been attracted to the home, just like finding your business, well, now the purchaser's engaged, how is your representative going to be handling that process? And including that is your inspections, the time spent, and fundamentally negotiation. So if you're then showing that, look, this whole process leads to all right, no.
Wait, I've got it.
If we can go back, and I was Johnny, keep at it.
I've got it.
I was just like the hands are like, woo.
John, are you telling me that the process of selling a house or the process of going through all this could be like the slices of a pizza all laid out in front of you, and if you were to use the DOM checker and you saw the pizza coming and there was maybe 3 pieces missing on the DOM checker, you might be upset and the process might not be complete and it might not get good feedback?
Well, that's the thing, is that it's the process, not the promise of a price, that's going to give you the great result. And the other line is to say that you use the process to ensure against a bad result. So you see what I mean?
Yeah, the pizza's got to be full. You can't just get a half-eaten pizza. Like if I ordered the pizza and the picture come through and it said,
hands down.
Just so we're clear, if an agent stuffs up, they don't give you a free house sale next time around.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's sort of, you can't. That's that. Then it goes back to, if you think a professional is expensive, wait until you employ an amateur. But then, so one of the core elements though that is with these processes is, do they have a negotiation process? So if there's just one purchaser, how do they handle that? If there's 50, how do they handle that? Because where negotiation comes into so many, that's a discussion for another day, but think about what's working through that. It's not just, do they like it? There's legals involved. There's, there's prices involved. There's ensuring that they're not overstepping the boundary that's going to cause them, stuff to come up by saying something just as a white lie in order to, get the right result.
Yep.
So for me then, where you've said when it comes to negotiation is, well, how are you going to do that? Now everyone's got their own approach, but, for me, I'd be looking at, once they've been able to show this process, then is, okay, well, give me some examples of how this has been mapped out. And I don't want just, this one sold for 600. Show me how that sold for 600. Walk me through what happened, and give me 5 stories. Take me behind the scenes of 5 ways in which you did that.
Yep.
And there could be 5 completely different scenarios. I mean, we've had ones that have sold for underneath the asking price. I mean, we had one that we had to deal in 1 week 32 offers. And I'll tell you right now, dealing with getting 32 written offers on a property.
You say 32 normal.
Yeah. See,
yeah, you've learned.
But that's not easy. But
saying 32 easy.
Well, yeah, that took me. That was harder to get out of that than learn how to handle 32 offers in real estate, I think. But,
there you go.
However, but we've got so it's, for me, especially from having this discussion, I'm not going to give 5 superstar examples. I'm going to say, look, here's what happened here. We might have started too high. We didn't invest enough money. The market wasn't strong enough at that particular time. Here's another one where they mapped out this. Here's another one that mapped out that. And here's the overarching thing on our process. And here's how it, like, on a micro level. Is it macro or micro? To show, look, this is how we did it, and this is the end result.
So rather than pump up your tyres and be like a monster truck of being like, every time I sell,
it doesn't happen.
I get it.
So and that for me, that's what I'm looking for. If I like someone, but I still want authenticity, and so it's an element that if the person that you're working is, for me, has to have an element of humility to say, look, because it isn't just all about me as a real estate agent. That's why we have to be working together, because if one of us isn't on board in the right way, well then things can go wrong.
Yep.
And it's like, if someone comes to me and says, John, I need this house sold in 30 days, but their expectations are $150,000 above where the market is, well then there's no way that we can make this work. Who's at fault here?
Yeah, so you stepping in and saying, yeah, mate, I can get that done, no dramas.
Yep.
And in your back of your head, you're like, no, never going to happen.
And that's why, like, sometimes at the very first onset of building a relationship is, guys, look, you're not going to get any hard sales tactics from me. If I'm not your agent at the end of the day, that's perfectly fine.
Yep.
Because ultimately we have to build a trusting relationship, and because if I don't have that, well, we can't work together.
When do you say that, John? As you walk through the front door and lock it behind you? Does that just come out of your mouth?
And I show my 9mm.
But I'm sure by the end of the conversation, you'll see that I'm the right choice.
Yeah. So then I think those case studies come into where I think it's important to show some testimonials too. So where I like case studies better than just a 5-star review is that a 5-star review doesn't tell you a lot.
Yep.
But obviously it does show credibility.
Yeah.
And that's where that digital interview comes on. I mean, how many do you need? Do you need 500,000 reviews? Do you need 50? I think you have to make that decision for yourself after you've had the chance to speak with that person.
I was just thinking then, it's funny that you guys are both second generation agents. I'd love to have this exact same conversation with your parents and find out what it was like in the past.
Yeah.
Because I imagine it would have been, even didn't you say the other day that even since you started, all this transparency data and all of it is just blown up and
so different. Like there was no info out there in the marketplace when I started. Like people just listened to you. There was no argument. No one knew better than the agent. The agent knew what the house is worth.
Yeah.
That was it. Now we're talking about the price in a lot more detail, and we're having a conversation about that. We're talking about fees because fees are now unregulated, so we can charge whatever we like. So marketing when I started was like $500 and that was it. Now it starts at $1,500 and goes up to, 20,000 or more, depending on what you want to do. Like there's so much now that we need to be across and have conversations around, where before it was like this. Yep, cool, I like you, let's do it. So
well, it wasn't it. I swear I overheard you on the phone the other day, and the guy was like, "Oh, Paul Berry." "Oh no, Pat Berry, his son." And then throughout the rest of the conversation, he kept calling you Paul.
Yeah, that happens to me.
You were just like,
stuff it.
It's actually Pat, but
that's exactly right. He was like, your dad used to live next door, didn't he, Paul? And I was like, yep, Paul lived next door to you. That's correct. And he's like, oh, that's fantastic. And the conversation went on. So Paul, I was like, yep. And I'm sure when I go there later today to look at this place, he'll meet me at the door and he'll say, hey, Paul, how's it going? And I'll be like,
I'll blow it.
I'll be Paul forever now.
Just be Mr. Berry.
But I would hazard a guess that the reason he called was that your dad lived next door, or it wasn't. He kind of looked online and went through all this stuff. Well, definitely wasn't, because he called you.
Yeah,
and he was looking for Paul. But it sounds like he's from a generation where it was, yep, I know this guy. Yeah. He's the guy. But from what you've said as well, it could just be he built trust with him from being across the fence, kind of like Wilson from Home Improvement. And I can just imagine your dad popping over the fence and being, oh, hey, Tim.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. All of us, there's another thing where we make decisions on emotion and justify with logic.
Oh, another Machism.
And the thing is then, and we have the same. God, I mean, if that guy's known Paul for 20, 30 years, it's the same with my dad. Like, Chris for 20, 30 years, like, he vouched it. He sold my house 3 times. He's not available. Johnny will take care of it because it's Chris's boy, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. And, it's been a relationship nurtured over so long, so I'll bloody well make sure that his trust isn't misplaced either.
Yeah, exactly, because then you're also representing the family in a way of being like, oh, I don't want to upset Dad, and he respects Chris, and
that's why I think the personal referral in your friendship base is actually really important. But sometimes it's actually not that good.
Yeah,
because it's just that. Look, the reality is, I'm not going to be able to give you a referral for any kind of service you want, because, like, man, I have no idea about that field. You know, I'm not the right person to ask for a referral on X. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Like, you could, what were they like when they did your kitchen? Like, oh, well, the kitchen looks sick. Yeah, like, I love it. Like, were they good? I don't know. Like, could have been quicker, could have been slower. I'm not sure. It's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, yep. So I think when you're asking for referrals in your own personal network, you have to ask the question, do they really know what they're talking about? Because, I mean, hey, I've got really good friends that are very, very opinionated but don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I've got to be mindful about, well, if they're giving me some advice, is it actually useful?
Yeah.
So that's where, I guess, back to that, where my story about Ray and his boy was an example. In Ray's instance, man, I would have trusted his advice straight away. But in another example, it could have been that, your immediate family might have a very strong opinion on who you should use, but you might know in your own self that maybe they're not the right kind of people that we're recommending, and that's where the internet comes into play. And look, in the end, the challenge is that certain agents operate well in areas, and there's so many people to choose from, just like any business as well. So that's why, for me, if you've got the capacity and time to run through different interviews until you feel you've got the right one, I think that's perfectly appropriate if that's the right thing for you. But otherwise, if you don't have the time, well, then there's some core things you can ask and look out for that's going to quickly, and you can ask that over the phone just to see how they're handling themselves off the bat. You know, and then you could just write 10 questions and just fire that one off one after the other, and then you could make 30 calls in an afternoon. That'd be another approach you could do if you're not competent.
Like the speed date interview.
100%. Why not? If they can't think on their feet, I was like, well, too bad, you're not for me. That's a perfectly reasonable expectation.
I think there's definitely merit there. I guess it's kind of that before you were just saying you got your gut feel on how's the person go, but like just because someone's approachable and nice to you doesn't mean that we're going to be able to keep that conversation going with a wide variety of people.
And you might like that person, and they might be completely useless.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm sort of making it harder after all this advice. But the problem is that there's no, some people like to use we've had people with a pad and pen giving a rating system. Fine, if that's what you want to do, here's 5 things and out of 10, out of that rate, then they'll make the decision based on 10. If that's the way you make a decision, that's perfectly fine as well.
Yeah.
I think where for me personally is that I know that I'll get excited and make decisions very quickly, and it often gets me in trouble. So that's where for me I have to have a couple of safeguards in play to go. Don't just quickly buy on your emotions straight away, Mac. Cool your jets a bit.
Yep.
Have a couple of things in place to think. Well, just allow yourself to think twice, and that's why for me I don't like making, especially in sales pitches. I'll get sold on the spot. I'm in. But yeah, but I had to go. I had to say no. I have to say no first and think about it, because otherwise I don't. And then so I've got time to process. So even for people in instances that don't feel, allow yourself to say no and think about it overnight and see how that person continues that relationship over time. So let's just say you've had 3 people, and you want to say you might just say, look, I'm going to say no to all of them. And then just see how they handle the follow-up process. They've sold me a big pitch, but how they're going to communicate with me over the next 7
you're
40
saying
days.
that as like a strategy to see, like, are they tenacious enough to be like, no, I want to sell your property, like I want your business. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, if you say yes to the right person, that's perfectly fine too. I suppose from a seller's perspective, I like that people would say, let's just do this.
Yeah,
that's perfectly fine. But if you are second guessing yourself, just make the rules. Like, you will not be making a decision on the spot. Then you've got the bit of breathing space in your own self that you're not going to be pressured.
Yep.
And now you can just be relaxed in asking the right questions.
Yeah, cool. I guess we maybe helped out today. I don't know. Did we get anywhere?
We sort of went in a few different directions, but I don't know.
It'd be interesting to find out. Shout out to Paige in Bendigo. Can you just let us know whether we helped today or not?
Yeah.
We'll use you as our Bendigo correspondent.
Because we weren't following a script on this one or a structure. So
yeah, we just
sort of riffed it.
We just riffed it.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it was okay. It was fun. But it's nice to have a safety. Did you notice that Pat didn't talk much because he didn't have?
I didn't have my notes.
I got about 10 minutes in and I was like, I know why Pat's not talking. He doesn't know what.
I like to be prepared. I'm not going to lie. It's been killing me all morning that I didn't have notes.
But the thing is, one thing that we'd be happy to do is ask if there's specific questions that people want to know, throw them out there.
Yeah. Oh, look, and we did get some feedback on the website the other week. I've got to go through it all, but I think we got somewhere. We'll find out. We'll find out in the edit. I'll see what happens.
Cool.
Thanks for showing up today, Pat. Appreciate your services on the mic.
That's all good, guys.
We'll have a script for you next week. We promise.
I just didn't want to give away my secrets to John.
The signs of a good agent. Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you, gents.
You have been listening to The Property Pod, produced and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Real Estate and McGregor First National Propriety Limited.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek and use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this information.